Right now, you're probably sitting there in your favorite hoodie or jeans, scrolling on your phone, barely thinking about the fact that you're wrapped in fabric. The last time you got dressed in the morning, you probably just threw something on and forgot about it. But what you did is one of the most revolutionary things a human being can do. It's older than farming, older than cities, older than art and caves. It might even be the reason our ancestors survived the Ice Age and spread across the planet. Our relationship with clothes doesn't start a few thousand years ago with fancy linen tunics or wool robes. It starts way back, on the African savanna with a clever, mostly naked primate who looked at the world and thought, I need a little help here. Picture this. About 2 million years ago, our early ancestors were losing their thick body hair. They stood upright, started sweating like crazy to stay cool during long hunts in the hot sun. Great for endurance running, terrible when the temperature drops or the wind picks up. Suddenly, your butt and shoulders are exposed to the elements. No fur coat, just vulnerable, sweaty skin. Then, somewhere between 170,000 and maybe even earlier, one of them had a breakthrough moment. Maybe it was after a successful hunt. A big animal goes down. Instead of leaving the hide to rot, someone drags it back, scrapes it clean with a stone tool, and drapes it over their shoulders. Instant warmth, instant protection from thorns, bugs, and sunburn. And just like that, fashion was born, or at least survival tech. In 2010, scientists studying lice genetics dropped a bombshell. Body lice, the kind that specifically live in clothing, not on your head, diverged from head lice around 170,000 years ago. These little parasites needed fabric folds and seams to hide and lay eggs. No clothes? No body lice? That genetic clock points to when humans started wearing clothes regularly, not just carrying a hide for a night, but using them habitually. They probably started doing it in Africa before major migrations out into colder places. Clothing wasn't just a reaction to freezing European winters, it was a game-changing technology that let us go anywhere. Fast forward to around 120,000 years ago in a cave in Morocco. Archaeologists found bone tools specifically shaped for working hides and skins, right alongside bones from animals that had been deliberately skinned. This isn't random. These early humans were manufacturing clothing. Imagine a small group huddled in that cave, scraping hides by firelight, punching holes, maybe even lashing them together with sinew. One person holds up a rough cloak and everyone nods. Yeah, this beats freezing. Humor break. Can you imagine the first awkward fashion show? Does this saber-tooth wrap make my butt look big? Or the poor guy who shows up in a half-rotten hide? Bro, you smell like last week's dinner. Or trying to barter. I'll trade you this itchy woolly mammoth pelt for 2 of those nicer gazelle ones. Early fashion was probably 90% practical and 10% please don't let this fall off during the hunt. By around 40,000 years ago, during the Upper Paleolithic, things get sophisticated. We find eyed bone needles in Europe and Asia, tiny, delicate tools that scream tailored clothing. Not just draping a skin like a caveman poncho, but sewing fitted tunics, leggings, hoods, even boots. Suddenly, our ancestors could chase mammoths across the tundra without turning into human popsicles. Think about what that meant for a small band leaving Africa or moving north. Without clothes, the cold would have killed them. With clothes, they could explore, hunt, settle new territories. Clothing became portable shelter. It turned naked, vulnerable apes into the ultimate adapters. And it wasn't just about staying warm. Clothes quickly became more. They signaled status. The person with the rarest fur or best decorations got respect. They offered camouflage for hunters. They might have played a role in rituals or attracting mates. Check out my beaded hide. I clearly have good hunting skills. Modesty, that probably came later, once we started living in bigger groups and had to figure out social rules. But early on, it was survival, baby. Jump ahead to the oldest actual preserved textiles. In Georgia, archaeologists found twisted and dyed flax fibers dating back over 30,000 years. In places like Çatalhöyük in Turkey around 9,000 years ago, people were weaving cloth. By ancient Egypt, linen was everywhere, lightweight, breathable, and a status symbol. Pharaohs in flowing garments, workers in simple kilts. In colder regions, wool and fur ruled. Otzi the Iceman, that 5,300-year-old guy found in the Alps, was dressed to the nines for his time. A bearskin hat, goat leather leggings, grass cloak. He even had tattoos and carried repair kits. The guy was basically a walking REI catalog. Here's the mind-blowing part. Just like the argument that beer might have helped spark farming and settlement, clothing might be one of the quiet heroes of human success. It let us leave the tropics. It protected us when we had no natural defenses. It freed up energy. Instead of evolving thicker fur or thicker skin, we invented tools and culture. We became makers. Of course, once we had clothes, we couldn't stop. What started as "don't die of hypothermia" turned into identity, art, hierarchy, and eventually fast fashion regrets. But the core impulse is the same one that made that ancient ancestor pick up a hide on a cold morning. I can do better than this naked thing. Every time you pull on a shirt, zip up a jacket, or complain about doing laundry, you're continuing a story that started over 100,000 years ago on an African landscape. A story of ingenuity against the elements, of turning vulnerability into strength, of a species that refused to let the world dictate its limits. We didn't just start wearing clothes to survive. In many ways, clothes helped us become who we are: explorers, creators, and the most dressed-up primates on the planet. If you want to dig deeper into the archaeology, the lice studies, or those Moroccan bone tools, the research is out there waiting. Next time you're getting dressed, give a little nod to that first clever ancestor. They had no idea what they started. But damn, are we glad they did.